Okay, it was a beautiful sight about 10 years ago when I saw 10 Bugatti Veyrons, I think they're called, lined up at an event that Peter Mullen, the car collector in California, was hosting. And I was standing next to probably about $10+ million worth of vehicle. But what if you could roll out all into one? Let's bring in the COO from Bugatti, Cedric Davy. He's Bugatti of America's COO. And you've topped yourselves because now you're offering, after what was a good earnings quarter, but you're offering a V16. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce it correctly, but is it called Chiron Plus? This vehicle for $3.6 million?
So it's the Chiron Pur Sport, the Pure Sport with the W16.
Who's going to buy this car? Because it is fascinating.
It is fascinating, absolutely, and really with the Chiron, even though this is a limited, very limited number, we're only making 500. The production run is only 500 vehicles, but we wanted to offer our customers, and especially our U.S. customers, where there's no autobahn to drive 250 to 160 plus miles per hour. We wanted to offer a completely different experience that's more focused on agility and really having fun out of the corners.
Hey, Cedric, Pras here. You know, I actually had a chance to drive this car for a brief moment a few days ago, and it was quite an interesting experience. But following up on what Adam just said, you know, are your customers asking for these one-off special type of cars, even though the Chiron itself is actually a very limited edition car to begin with?
Yeah, this is correct. So the Chiron, obviously the Pure Sport is part of the family. The few of like the Divo or the 110 are separate from the 500 count. I think for us, it was more being able, obviously, as you know, we have a single model lineup. So I think it's really fantastic that we were able to offer a completely new driving experience and really getting even more out of the W16 at lower speeds to really extract the most out of it. We have a much shorter gearbox in it that really provides a completely different driving experience.
So Cedric, we know that the Chiron Pure Sport deliveries now are starting now in the U.S. You guys had an incredible Q1, in fact, your best ever. Can you share some numbers on what that entailed and what the order book is looking like for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so we're piggybacking on already a great 2020. As surprising as this could sound, this was the best financial year in Bugatti's history. We topped that in the first quarter. And if you look year to date in the US and in Canada, the North American region, we are having a very, very strong start where we already year to date 5 times ahead in terms of orders as where we were last year at the same time. So this is picking up very well. We're getting to the end also of the Chiron order books. Like there's not many left available. So I think there's also a bit of sense of urgency to get access to that iconic W16.
And Cedric, going off of that and the strong demand that you're seeing here in the U.S. or North America more broadly, I read in your notes here that the strong start to the year, North America is now poised to outperform Europe for the first time in history. What do you think is driving that increase of demand here in the U.S. versus what you're seeing overseas?
Well, I think there is a product, like we said, that is a bit more focused on what you can do on North American road, maybe. So the Pure Sport has really been met with very enthusiastic success and feedback from customers and media all around the world, but especially in North America. So I think this helps us quite a lot. And I think there's also we may be getting out of the pandemic a little quicker than the rest of the world, and I think this has definitely an impact on our results and the lead that we were able to take in the first half of the year so far.
Cedric, 1,500 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. After I win the Mega Millions lottery tonight and I buy one, does a purchaser have to have a lesson on how to drive this vehicle before they actually are given the keys or the ability to start it?
So all of our events are always, and Pras had the chance this week to do this. We always have like a professional driver to demonstrate the vehicle and really provide a full experience. It's a very easy vehicle difficult to drive. The Chiron is not, it's a permanent four-wheel drive, so it's it's not a car that is going to be trying to get loose or anything without really working on it. So it's not that complicated to get behind the wheel and get comfortable quickly, but it is definitely a lot of power and needs to come with a warning a little bit maybe. But I think most of our customers are coming from supercars, and then when they're getting to the hypercar level, they already have experience of vehicles that may have just a third or half of the horsepower of the Chiron, but are already a lot more powerful than the average vehicle.
Yeah, Adam and Cedric, it was good to have Butch there to show me the ropes. So with the W16 engine. But speaking of engines, we're talking about the future, and that means electrification. And we know that the governments are telling here and also in Europe that they want to see more of that in cars, even supercars. How do you guys introduce electrification into your hypercars, but also make it special enough for your customers, your clientele to feel like this isn't just like a regular Tesla? How do you make that special?
This is going to be the real challenge for us, Pras, because really the motto for Bugatti for us is, if it's comparable, is no longer Bugatti. This is a quote from Ettore Bugatti that's almost 100 years old, and still to this day, this is really what we live and breathe every day. So the future of the brand will have to go through electrification. Is it a hybrid or full electric? This will be the question. There's no way to avoid it. We know that like you said, the governments, not only in the US, but also the rest of the world, are pushing this in that direction. But this is what is going to be very exciting for us. It's just, how do we manage to keep this singularity, this difference that makes a Bugatti something that you cannot compare to any other vehicle on the road.
Cedric, do we have a potential timeline for one of your vehicles becoming electric?
Not really. I think this is something that will be we're looking 3 to 4 years down the road. The Chiron will be in production until 2023. So this is obviously taking us to another couple of years. I think this is something that we'll see probably, I would guess 24, 25, but this is too early to tell. I don't have more information on this.
Hey, Cedric, this last question here. I know that, Volkswagen is your parent portfolio company. You guys are a portfolio company of Volkswagen. Do you ever see a day when Bugatti could kind of be off on its own, spun off, or IPO maybe, just to kind of be its own automaker?
I think it would be an interesting look at it. Obviously, when you look, you take at the history of the brand, where the Veyron was probably not very profitable as a brand on its own, would have probably not sustained without being part of the Volkswagen Group. It's been now 3 years in a row that we are profitable, with great projects and new models that we were able to develop thanks to this profitability, the Divo, the 110 or La Voiture Noire. It's something that definitely would be interesting to look into, probably give a little bit more flexibility to push the envelope even more. But this is obviously very difficult when you have such a small production count, I think, to be a standalone brand. You probably need to be part of a group, not necessarily as large as Volkswagen, but part of a group.
Stunning vehicle. Cedric Davy, Bugatti of the Americas COO. Thank you very much. Pras, always good to see you. See you every day. And we'll be right back.